Hi, Max and Malia. How are you doing?
Hello.
Pretty
Doing
good.
good. Happy to be here.
Yay! Well, we're very happy to have you here. This screening of your film was part of a collaboration between the Museum of Fine Arts St. Petersburg and the Tampa Bay International Gay and Lesbian Film Festival. And we were just so thrilled to be able to screen this film. And I wanted to ask you both a few questions about the process of making it, some things that I noticed. And one of the things that I noticed is that making this documentary was very similar to what I imagine Kenny Scharf does when he creates a painting, which is bring in pieces from all over the place, try to figure out if they really fit into the piece as a whole, and then create something beautiful, which I think both of you did. And I wanted to see if either of you had noticed that aspect of it, that you were really, in essence, mimicking your father's process.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that. Thank you so much for your words. Um, in some ways, we have spoken about that, right, Max? How the process of the film and even the um, not just the process, but the release of the film and how long it took us for it to finally finish, and like this need to really persevere throughout all the challenges that was making this film. But you're talking about specifically the process, and I feel like Max can speak a little more to that as well since he edited it. But yeah, I think we really had to kind of it wasn't it, we as we went along we were finding the pieces and we knew the important themes to us, and then um, it got really clear what needed to get, the parts that really needed to get told. I'll let you
Yeah,
finish
no,
here.
yeah. I mean, that's an interesting insight, Margaret. I really appreciate that insight and the
Yeah.
kind words. And yeah, we're really thrilled to be taking part in the festival. So thank you for including the film. And yeah, I mean, I think that I think that that's a beautiful way of thinking about. It's a romantic way of thinking about editing, because like that it was definitely like with Kenny, his process is very much like that, where yeah, he tries to incorporate, I think, um, so many different kind of stylistic and just different sort of techniques that he brings into his work. And so he's, like Edward Shea says in the film, he's kind of like the uh, not like the melting pot, but what does Ed say? He says he's like the kitchen sink. Like he basically like he takes it, he incorporates everything. So you'll see like little bits of expressionism. You'll see little bits of still life. Like I mean, it's just like it's across the board. So yeah, so I think that yeah, the film was kind of like a collage in that way, and it's an interesting analogy to think about it like that, where we yeah, just kind of like a pastiche of a lot of different. Oh, that's a baby poop. Um, um, so yeah, I think that that's a beautiful way to think about it.
Oh, very good. So, one of the other things that I was thinking about or wondering about as I was watching the film, obviously, Malia, it is about your father. And I wondered if, in uncovering that, if you noticed any similarities just looking at footage, past footage. Hi, baby.
Joining us today.
Looking at past footage, kind of revisiting some old home movies and things like that. Were there any similarities that you're like, huh, I
Oh,
never saw
you
that?
sorry, you cut out just for a moment. I it got muted for a moment.
Okay. So I was just wondering if there were any similarities you noticed between your father and you as you were looking at all of this footage that you maybe had not been aware of.
Um, well, yeah, definitely the huge concern for the environment and plastic, and the way that, I definitely that we have that in common very much. Like, he raised me in a way to care a lot, and I do tremendously. So that aspect definitely, you know, his creativity in his form, my own in my own way in my life, like living. So, you know, the way that I move about the world and in my own way, although I'm not like a prolific painter like he is, I do feel that a lot of the way that he has raised me and the, you know, how I've been surrounded by art and creative and artists and creativity my whole life, I have in my own way, you know, adapted, and so there definitely are a lot of similarities, but I think like the first thing I said was the thing that stand, also the generosity of spirit, and that all is really important to me. So, you know, in my own way, yes, yes.
Okay, okay. And that's one of the things that comes across so clearly is both, and I do want to touch on the environmental aspect that you cover in the film, but this generosity of spirit that was so evident. And you have, I mean, it was wonderful to see this really beautiful friendship between three young men at a time that could have been incredibly challenging and could have raised a lot of issues. And I'm speaking specifically about Keith Haring and Jean-Michel
Mhm.
Basquiat, and how really that was unprecedented in the art world, having these three young men. Um, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that friendship, and then I definitely do the environmental impact or the environmentalism in the film was just amazing, and it was something that I had not anticipated. So yeah, let's start there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, one aspect of the timing of everything was that these three people found themselves, and it was before the art world was really involved in any of their lives. So there was something like a camaraderie and a certain like um, where they really fed off of each other and were inspired by each other. There was competition. So that was really, it's really beautiful that they all got to connect at that time when they were just so fresh off of, you know, just really pushing themselves to become who they became. Um, I'm sorry.
So we will leave
And Max, maybe, and then the second thing was the environment. I mean, Max, maybe you
Yeah, I can
can.
answer that piece. I mean, wait, what? Rephrase the question really quickly about the environment, Margaret.
it was a topic that I had not expected to see in the film, and it was nice
Oh,
to see how he has really embraced that and is fully living that mode right now. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about that.
yeah. I mean, I think that if you study Kenny, it doesn't take long to see how um, he sort of breathes that kind of concern and obsession. The way that he talks about it is as sort of an obsession with the environment. Really, like from an early point in his career, you can trace it all the way back to his cosmic caverns, which when he was living with Keith, they had this Times Square apartment. He called it closets, and what he was doing was he was just finding trash, and he was repurposing trash into art, and basically stringing it all together, painting it, with black light paint, and creating these sort of spaces. And so, um, yeah, I think that Kenny just I think it's like in some way connected to like his upbringing and growing up in the valley, in California, San Fernando Valley, and just being kind of immersed in this kind of plastic world, where like everything is kind of new and really sort of cookie cutter vibes. And I think that he really wanted to get away from that. And yeah, I think that that somehow like is part of the picture. He sort of escaped that sort of that world, and then kind of made his way to New York. But also, I don't know why I want to connect that to like his obsession with like the environment and nature. But I think that it was somehow like going against the grain from where he grew up, and but yeah, even in his paintings, his a lot of his paintings, especially his screen printing paintings, he uses graphic components, and most of the time, a lot of the graphic components connect in one way or another to the environment, or they have messages like just really in bold lettering, like uh, about climate change, about carbon emissions, about things. It's not like under the radar. It's not stuff that you have to like search for. It's literally in writing in his painting. So
Exactly. And I love that there has, everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of people think of his paintings as he's very playful and fun, but there is definitely a deeper meaning to his artwork. And I think you did a really wonderful job of pulling that out and showcasing that. What was it like editing the film for you and just pulling together all of those? I know that there had been a documentary that was in the works previously, or a lot of footage had been gathered.
yeah, so like when I got involved, Malia had been working on the film for about like 5 years at that point, and she had two other. Oh, she put him in the mobile, so she's jumping back in. She she had two other collaborators, and so they had kind of acquired and collected a lot of material, and but they hadn't sort of like put together an actual string out. So um, we just had like a lot to work with. It was like basically, I think the best analogy for me is thinking of it kind of like a puzzle. So it was just sort of uh, stumbling across this puzzle and like with a lot of different pieces and sort of kind of slowly figuring out how to sort of put the puzzle together. And then through that process of putting it together, we noticed where there would maybe be a piece missing here or a piece missing there, and those were the things that we went out, when I got involved, and we would shoot. So I shot maybe 40% of the film, something like that, maybe 30 or maybe 30% even, like not even that much, so like a lot of the material had already been shot, and it was just more this thing about like writing the script and figuring out how to piece it all together, and then seeing where we had the missing pieces and going out and shooting to make sure that we could fill those areas in. But
Well,
it was a really long and arduous and insane process.
well, it looks seamless.
Oh, thank you.
I would love to talk to you all more about this, but I do want to respect your time with the new baby. Um,
I'll go deal with the baby, and you can hang out with Malia for a second, just to.
Sorry, this normally would be the time where there's like a big chunk of free time, and I realize that newborns are unpredictable. So
yes, they are.
I'm so sorry about that.
No, 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 that is quite all right. Are you and Max working on anything else, or do you have plans for another project?
Yeah, well, currently we just finished a little video for Parlay, actually with Kenny again for the ocean plastic and, well, it's not for the ocean plastic, but it's talking about the plastic problem. And we have some future stuff in the works, but not quite anything that I can really talk about clearly. Um, but yeah, we're really thank you so much for I'm happy I'm here now. Max is with Ray. So if there's anything it's been really great to your questions were really great, and I really appreciated everything, all of your insight. So
Oh, thank you. Well, I am going to let you get back to the baby, but
okay.
I do want to say thank you so much. Thank you for allowing us to screen the film. Thank you for creating such a beautiful film. Please tell your father we said hi and that we appreciate all the work he's done. And we certainly appreciate the work that you and Max did.
Thank you so much. So appreciated, and we will definitely let Kenny know. He's actually just finishing up a mural he did for the LA mission this whole past few days. So,
Oh, very good.
yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.